Hey guys, welcome back to another Premier League video. Unfortunately, I did miss another week last week, and I apologize for that, but I'll try to do better going forward. These are going to be the predictions for game week 12. The first game we're going to talk about is Leicester against Chelsea. This Chelsea team has started to look really good. They're a top four side for a reason, and this Leicester side is still struggling to compete with the rest of the Premier League. Chelsea was able to come to a draw against Arsenal, and Arsenal supposed to be a title contender this season, while Leicester just got destroyed by Manchester United, and it's happened two times on two different occasions, two different tournaments. And United has been in a bit of a rut themselves, so for them to get destroyed by United is saying something, and I just see only one outcome for this game. I think Chelsea's gonna have a good day out, and they're gonna win 3-0 away from home. Next game we have Bournemouth versus Brighton. Bournemouth's last game was a loss to Brentford, and it was 3-2, high-scoring game, and they were unlucky not to come out with at least a point. While on the other hand, Brighton were victorious against City in a 2-1 win, and it was very much deserved in my opinion, but I think this is going to be kind of like back down to reality. I just don't think that they're going to completely destroy Bournemouth. And I think their victory against City, although it was deserved, it was kind of, like something that isn't that common for them to be able to beat City. But I think this game will be a little bit more even, like I've been saying, and I see it being a 2-2 draw. Our next game is Arsenal against Nottingham Forest, and surprisingly, this is looking out to be like the winner of this is going to be the team that remains fourth in the Premier League, which is really cool to say when you're mentioning Forest. And like I mentioned earlier, Arsenal managed to get a draw against Chelsea, and Forest, although they've been doing really well, they didn't perform that well last week. I wouldn't say destroyed, but they got beat pretty convincingly by Newcastle, and it was at their home. And I've been saying all season that Newcastle isn't that good. I feel like their team still needs a lot of tweaking in order for them to be a contender in the Premier League. It gives a little concern for Forest. Maybe the momentum is coming to an end. They've been doing really good. They need more players to grab the game by the scruff of the neck and be able to capitalize on opportunities. I've been saying that a lot of people have been sleeping on this Forest team, and I'll continue to say so until they start completely deteriorating. But I do think that game is going to be one of those games where they lose. I just think that Arsenal are going to be, a little bit more urgent to get the victories that they need in order to stay in the Premier League race. So I think Arsenal's going to win 2-1. Our next game is Aston Villa versus Crystal Palace. Crystal Palace hasn't been doing great, and Aston Villa has slowly but surely started falling. I said that at the beginning of the season that I didn't think that they'd be able to keep the momentum going from last season. Just the last game they lost to Liverpool, and the game before that they got convincingly beat by Tottenham. And I don't know, I just think that this game is not going to be that exciting of a match. Two teams that should be doing good but aren't. They're kind of, like right now they're both about mid-table. I do give the edge to Aston Villa because I do think their team is better and it's working better cohesively as a system. They got some players that can make something happen out of nothing, and I think that's just the difference between them and Crystal Palace. I don't really see that many players having that quality in the Palace team. So therefore, I'm going to give the win to Villa, but it'll be a narrow 1-0. Everton versus Brentford is the next game, and again, this is going to be one of those games where it could be exciting and it could also be very boring. You just don't know which Everton you're going to get. And depending on that, I think changes the game completely. Brentford has been doing really good. They've been scoring a lot. And Wemu, in particular, has been doing really good. And on the Everton side, there just seems to be like a lack. Like there isn't a spark there that somebody can just do something for the team. They always have to do it at the very end. They always have to scrape it by, and they can't just win games convincingly. I'm leaning towards the side of it not being that much of an exciting game, and I think both teams will get a goal, but that's about it. So I think the game ends in a 1-1 draw. The next game is Fulham against Wolves, and both of these teams last week came off with a victory, with a 2-0 win each. And I think this Wolves team, it's come and go. It goes up and down. Every now and then they have a good performance, but then the next week they have a poor performance. Fulham on the other side, they've been doing pretty well. They have some players that are picking it up a lot. Raul Jimenez in particular is doing really good. Smith Rowe is picking it up. He's carrying his weight for the transfer fee that they paid for him. And I just think this game will be pretty entertaining for the neutral, I think. I feel like it'll be a game where like maybe not a bunch of goals are gonna happen, but there's gonna be a lot of back and forth. So there's gonna be a lot of action. So I'm predicting the game to end in a Fulham win, and they'll win 2-1. The next game is gonna be City against Spurs. Now this game is probably gonna be the most exciting for the weekend. I think for a neutral perspective, it's just kind of entertaining to see which way it goes. Because if City wins, they help their cause for the Premier League. And if Spurs wins, they're finally going to get some momentum going. I just think that City has been in a bit of a rut, but I think it might be getting a little bit blown out of proportion. I feel like mostly it just comes down to Haaland not scoring, because a lot of goals for City come through Haaland. And if he's not able to score or they're not able to create, it's just going to hamper them. But they don't really concede too many goals. I know they just lost last week, but I just don't think that it's that easy to beat them. And on the other side, Tottenham hasn't really done that much better. I mean, in the last 3 games, they lost twice and they managed to win once. Like, it's like they're in a roller coaster ride of themselves, and they can't convincingly win games. They can't stay on form. So I think it's just a pattern, and I think they're in a position where they're playing a lot worse than City. City can't score, but they're also not conceding that many goals. I think they can still shut down teams. So I think this game will be high scoring because of the City troubles, and then Spurs is just kind of erratic. But I think it'll end up being a City victory with a 3-2. And now we probably go to the most boring game of the weekend, which is Liverpool versus Southampton. And this game's only going to go in one direction. I mean, nobody really has any hopes for the Southampton team to stay up, let alone beat Liverpool, they're the leading contenders to win the Premier League this season. And I believe that this team could probably avoid like setbacks. I just see this going in one direction, 3-0 win at Liverpool. Now, the most exciting game for me this weekend is going to be Ipswich versus United. And the reason it's going to be exciting is because Amarim's coming in and it's going to be his first Premier League match. And I'm excited to see what he's capable of. I've heard some interviews, and he's like, he doesn't really tolerate bad play, bad teams. If you're not listening to his tactics, he doesn't want you in the team. I just think that it's going to be an interesting watch because of the new formation tweak that I'm assuming he's going to make. He's going to probably switch to a 3 at the back, so I'm hopeful for this game. Ipswich has been doing good, but I don't think they've been doing that well where I can see us losing. I do think we'll concede, but I think we end up winning ultimately, and I think United win 2-1. And the last game I'm going to talk about is Newcastle versus West Ham. Another 2 teams that I just don't rate that much. They should have been doing better than they have, and I just don't see it. I haven't seen anything that's convincing of either team. West Ham especially. We all expected a lot of things with all the transfers that they made, but there's nothing special about this team. And Newcastle, on the other hand, they've been winning, they've been scoring, but it's kind of like every player is an individual talent, and if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. So I could see either team winning this, but I am going to favor Newcastle because they are at home, and I still think playing Newcastle at home is a very difficult task. So I'm going to go with them to win 2-1. And that's going to wrap up the Premier League predictions this week. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Let me know, again, if you think I got any wrong. I'm going to start keeping track of all the ones I get right and wrong. And I'll give you guys like a weekly tally every week now. Because I need to go back and, recalculate all those things because I kind of lost track of those. I know I was keeping track for the first couple of weeks, and then I just kind of let that go. So I'm going to try to bring that back. It's going to be the Premier League. There's going to be some unpredictable games. And just let me know what you guys think. See you guys.